But I was thinking about like what's been so cool about this. And I think the thing about walking with God is you don't realize everything all at once. It kind of, things sneak up on you and you go like, oh. So ever since Tim and I first got married 30 years ago, so that's a long time ago, we have always thought that we'd love to build our own house. And we were these kind of sad people that would drive around Cardiff looking for a building plot. You know, we did that. And we thought, oh, wouldn't it be great if we built a house? And, you know, you look at magazines and you go to kind of a conference where they tell you how to build a house and all that kind of stuff. And we kind of laid that down. We thought that wouldn't happen. But it's like, that's like another dream that we had that we are being able to do. We're being able to build a house, which is like,
amazing.
feels a real privilege, doesn't it?
Amazing.
But also it's like we're tapping into like my dad, who's not around now, and he would be so made up knowing what we're doing, but he always wanted to be a farmer. I think he imagined himself as a gentleman farmer with +4s and
tweed
and a gun,
stuff.
kind of.
I don't think he'd have got his hands dirty.
But he always wanted to be a farmer, and like we've got a farm. I think that would really, he'd love that. And your grandfather wanted to be a farmer.
My grandfather on my mother's side wanted to be a farmer, and then on my father's side they've had an allotment for a long time, passed through the family, so they were growers.
So it's like these little threads that we're kind of pulling on.
Isn't it?
Yeah. And then my maternal grandfather lived in Cardiff, and he persuaded the council to give him a plot of land on which he built a church, which like thousands of people got saved in that church over the years that he was involved there. And so it's kind of like that feels like another thread that we're pulling on so there's kind of like, we're like this little point in history, you know, we've got all these gone before and it's us, and it's not just us because it's going to be lots of other people coming in with their dreams. And then like we're talking about, well, what about all the people who come after us and, you know, do something. So we're kind of just this little piece in time doing our little bit.
And you guys have called it Bring Gobaith.
Gobaith. Yeah.
Which means Hill of Hope.
Yeah.
And Cymraeg.
Yeah.
Can you unpack that?
Yeah.
Well, it was called Gethley Ddu, which means Black Grove.
Okay.
And we thought, we're not having that. Gethley Ddu was an old name, so it's it's an ancient name, and we don't want to sort of diss the past, but at the end of the day, it doesn't represent what we're going for.
And also, so that whole area, there was a coking...
Bit of mining, bit of a coking plant. There's a reason why it was called Mountain Ash.
Yeah.
You know, it was a bit...
So there would have been like
grim.
this kind of constant layer of ash around. Yeah. And so Gethley Ddu, Black Grove, kind of makes sense in that context, because there literally would have been like this whole layer of black ash and dust through the valley. So, but actually...
It doesn't fit now.
That's not what the valleys are like anymore. It's part of its history, but it's not part of its future. And so I guess we wanted to rename it because there's something very symbolic and significant about renaming things. So I don't know, I think even before we actually owned it, we knew we were going to rename it. And I think we knew we were going to name it that. And I can't tell you like there was a moment when the Lord downloaded that, but it definitely felt like it was a God revelation that we needed to call it Hill of Hope Farm. Because basically... it's on the side of a mountain, and the mountain is part of the farm, so it kind of makes sense.
I think it really ties in too with your hearts for healing and for restoration, right?
Yeah, totally. It's like, and even the journey we've been on so far. So when we bought it and why I cried, and if anyone wants to see the photos, I'll show you, because it really was grim. We spent probably the first 18 months while we were waiting to get planning permission and whatever, and that process.
Just clearing so much rubbish.
There was just so much rubbish.
Honestly.
Like, it's hard for people to understand how much rubbish but there was just rubbish and rubbish and rubbish.
Wow.
And it was like, yeah, the land hadn't been loved for a long time, had it?
Most farms are pretty messy, okay, but this was beyond messy. I mean, with every shovelful, we would come up with a bit of dirt and a lot of plastic.
Yeah. Or metal.
Loads
or
of metal.
Just
Junk which had been, thrown out. So it's almost like we felt every piece of plastic that we picked up and got rid of, we were loving the land. Every piece of junk we picked up, it was like a prayer.
Yeah.
And our heart has been to always restore the land
Yeah.
and to bring healing to the land and to bring
transformation.
healing and transformation
Yeah.
to the valley. That's what we want. We want to
Yeah.
bring that
Yes, it's
level
bigger
of
than just the farm, isn't it? It's,
kingdom of God, healing, transformation to the whole valley. Not that we will do it, but we'll play a part in
yeah.
that whole transformation.
Yeah.
And so, what we're doing physically on the farm, we sense that has that spiritual impact, that spiritual connection. That, it's like intercession when we're clearing rubbish.
Yeah.
And we are clearing rubbish, and we're praying over the land, and we're blessing it,
Yeah.
and we will see great stuff coming out of it.
Yeah,
Not
I
just in
believe
sheep
it.
and cattle. I think, we'll be growing stuff that people thought, we've never grown this produce on
Carrots
this
that
land.
big.
I don't want to
Yeah.
be naive, but I still think, as part of the children of God, we can bring real blessing to the land. And
Yeah.
I totally believe there's a real physical, spiritual connection.
Yeah.